everyone. Welcome back, Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I don't know how many of you are going to our website. I encourage you to do so. We're at a pivotal point where we have to answer some questions. We have to determine in our game, are we dealing more with nature or nurture? Are we dealing more with a learned ability or inherent characteristic? You know, these are the nuts and bolts that excite me. These are what makes these type of considerations are what makes the game more interesting to me. And one of the things that I want to lead with today is something that has been discussed for as long as there has been organized fist fighting in the English language, and I'm talking about whether or not it's kickboxing or the emergence of mixed martial arts or Muay Thai, kickboxing, all the different things that are brought forth. When people talk about a true puncher, they say, and I read it today. I read it by one of the greats, someone who I believe is uncorruptible, someone who should be the boxing czar, someone who should lead our nation and our culture of fight sport through its next developmental phase, and it's Teddy Atlas. And Teddy Atlas recently said in relation to the Polymal and Broner fight, he said, you know, true punchers are born, they're not made. Now, those of you who've read Money Boxing, you already have your answer, but so many of you wonder about this. You know, anyone who's ever doubled up a fist or watched a great knockout, they have questions about this. Let's address them, shall we? I'm going to start with a comparison point. I heard once that when babies were being born, in the previous 2 centuries ago, they were being born, and a lot of them were getting infections and dying before they could leave the hospital over and over and over again. And one surgeon said, I'm just going to wash my hands. I'm going to make the nurses do it. I'm going to wash my hands thoroughly with soap. I'm going to change my outfits. We're going to have clean linen, and we're going to do it separate every time. Well, infant mortality dropped so drastically that he went to share it with the people around him. The doctor said, no, we don't care. No, we have our way of doing this. This is the way we do it. You know, blood's blood. Everybody has blood in them. We're going to continue to do it, and lives continue to be lost. And I remember talking to my mother about this, and she was managing a large medical office at the time, and she said, Christian, it takes 20 years for the medical field to catch up to any advance. I mean, we already know that there are countries where they have healthy food, they eat healthy food, they don't use very many medications, they live long lives without cancer. It's not accepted here. It's not part of the culture. It's not part of the economy. It takes time to catch up. And I respect people who say, because they sincerely believe that true punchers are born and not made. I mean, you look at someone, and maybe it's baseball, maybe it's being able to hit the ball out of Fenway, whatever it is. If you compare it to another craft that I dearly love, which is writing. And I remember Stephen King, in what's now considered probably the greatest work on writing ever, next to Strunk and White's The Elements of Style, saying, if you can't write, you can learn how to write. If you don't write very well, you can get better at it. But if you're not a naturally great writer, you probably can't become one. And that's kind of what we've dealt with for many, certainly fight sports. You know, you look at someone who has great natural power, young George Foreman. It was less than 2 years from the first time he put on a glove. He was the world amateur champion. He was the Olympic champion. And so few have that ability. And people say, well, this is a natural thing. It's a natural puncher. Okay, all right. So let's address it. It's going to take a long time for people to realize it. And the people who read my posts and follow my material are usually educated or in the process of some sort of self-education developmental aspect of themselves. So I don't deal with a lot of the childish things. I feel very blessed for the readers and friends on the computer and with the books that I have. But at other places, somebody will say, well, this isn't my way, and I don't... There are certain things that seem to me empirical, meaning proven under scientific standards in isolation. I think gravity is one of them. And I think there are elements that are kind of indisputable. And if you take someone a couple centuries back and you say, hey, guess what's going to happen? We're going to create this box, and you hold it to your head, and you'll be able to talk to Aunt Martha in Cleveland. No, you won't even have to be in the same state with her. You'll hear her, she'll hear you. No clicks, no smoke signals. People say that's impossible. Hey, we're going to transfer things off the satellites. Well, that's impossible. And then they become gradually accepted, and so I'm prepared for this to take a while. I feel obligated to tell you the truth. The truth is that everyone listening to this message right now could get on the computer and order one thing, I don't care if they're 14 or 84, and they could become a puncher like a superhero. I had it happen to me. You see, I studied fighting. I had a good left hook. I had a lot of fights, and I know that form does a lot. You have to have form. You have to have a means. You can't just hit hard. You have to have a means to convey the power, the weapon to the target. And you can get better form. You can strengthen your muscles. It's not going to make you a great hitter. What makes a great hitter? Well, there's something outside of the form that is rarely taught. Rarely taught. And the people who are right now ridiculed. But there's a method of delivering force that is based on the study of primates. You get a primate, you get a chimp this tall, doesn't weigh more than a average-sized man for most of the world, and it's considered to be able to generate force far in excess of what a human Homo sapien male can. What is it? Well, it's a little what they call a kinetic ripple. It's a little wave of energy that comes up. And you can learn it. I did. And now when I spar, I have to be careful. I don't have to draw my arm back to punch forward at all. You know, they talk about the great punches. They talk about Marciano fighting Jersey Joe Walker. They said the punch just traveled a few inches. Well, what they mean is the whole body is behind it. But you can have that kinetic swing and you can add everything to it. But if you don't have this little ripple, this undercurrent of power within the stroke, if you don't have it, you will not be able to get the results. And you can't just hold your hand to somebody's body and go like that and they drop. It's easy. It's so easy you have to unlearn it. If you look up, right now you can go to our website, you can just look it up. The man's name who teaches it, he's from the United Kingdom and his name is Russell Stutely. We do a serious comparison in Money Boxing about it, but he has something called the multiplied force fighting system. And what he does is he if you look at the YouTube clips, they do, you know, at first glance it looks like it's from a movie. It looks fake. He'll do a little touch and people go down. And you say, well, if you can't do it swinging your whole body through a glove, how on earth could you do it? And you feel it and you say, I want to learn this. It takes hardly any time. And he adapted it for those who want to learn boxing in what is called the X fighting system. But any of you who want to answer the question for yourself, are great punchers born or great punchers made? Get a hold of the multiplied force fighting system and judge it for yourself. It has a money-back guarantee, and I think it'll change the way that you live. You don't need any experience to do it, not one day. But if you study this, I think you'll be standing on the other side of the fence with me and saying, I can cause spinal trauma with a slap. I have to be careful. I have to be cautious when I spar. People had better wear protective armor over their bodies so I don't cave in their ribs. And that's what you get out of Russell Stutely's system. And that's a fact. That's a fact. I deliver that affidavit anywhere I need to do so. So I suggest you do your own work. You find it out for yourself, because as soon as you do, you'll be able to assess the difference between good punchers and great punchers. You'll be able to know who's going to knock somebody down, who's going to keep them down, and why. What are the component pieces involved, and how the execution and format of this enables you to make calls that can make you money and save you money. That's my suggestion. Best to you, Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own money boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.